What if the World of Darkness was real? This is a funny question to ask because World of Darkness is modern day Secret World, but I think that's still a fun question. But that is like a fun question. What if you were in the World of Darkness? And how dangerous is the World of Darkness, like, truly? When you base it off of a lot of the stories we tell, it seems like it's rough. It's so bad that how do humans not know the supernatural is real? And it got me thinking, is there like a right answer to living in WoD, something we can vicariously tell the NPCs they should be doing? Or in a very specific scenario, what if you got fucking isekai'd to it? I don't know, you get isekai'd and you show up in LA and you see the Club Asylum and you're like, ooh, I gotta get out of here, vampires are real. So that is a scenario here. You watching this are now transported into World of Darkness. You have all of your knowledge of the setting, you have everything, but you clearly don't want to die. What is the best way for you to not die? And I believe the strongest way to do that is to avoid literally all supernatural things ever. And this is the bit of engagement bait I'll throw out. If you have a game plan already, once you watch this video, I genuinely want to hear the fun things you'd get up to for whatever reason you were poofed into WoD. I want to hear it. A big important thing to remember with World of Darkness is that it is meant to be Secret World. It is hard to remember sometimes. That's why I say it so much. Because with all the stories we tell and all the fun lore, it really sounds like everyone and their mom is a vampire or a mage or a werewolf or something. But truly speaking, it is rare. It is a very, very small population that you're dealing with here, and the likelihood of coming across it is super low. But there still are chances. I think two of the biggest things that would impact your general coming across the supernatural is your location and your occupation. Now, your location I think is important because you need to avoid incredibly urban areas and incredibly rural areas for some of the same, if not opposite reasons. Practically everything in World of Darkness takes place in really urban environments. This is where vampires set up because it's the best place for them to hunt. If you settle in a very urban area, you have increased your risk of coming across a vampire. It is not incredibly common that a vampire will kill you. They don't really want to do that. They lose a part of themselves unless their beast pushes them. But this is like their main spots, so you shouldn't. I'm just gonna say, I love my kinda home city of Seattle. I love it so much. But just as a random hypothetical, if I go to a nightclub and get murdered, and then all for set dressing so an elder vampire can have a cool boss fight with a Toreador. Though if you're also in Seattle on the same obvious Bloodlines 2 reference, there's a non-zero chance you're gonna see some anarchs or Sabbat just getting drop kicked off of rooftops. So just something you shouldn't tangle with. And in the same lens, you really shouldn't go super isolated rural because there's other dangers now. If you don't want to ever deal with werewolves, which to be fair, it's really unlikely that a werewolf is just going to randomly attack you unless you are worm tainted. Don't be evil. Like the environment, you shouldn't have an issue there, but I think you're still painting a big target on yourself because of the other scary beasties in WoD, stuff that doesn't align like purely for the actual game lines, stuff that's mainly for Hunter the Reckoning, because that game does make note, you should invent your own monsters. Or you have a chance of just getting fucked up by a bunch of Sabbat hiding out. If you run your own like fully self-sufficient compound, well, that sounds like a really nice way to get some blood or get some meat from you without anyone knowing. I think to be very tactical, you need to find the middle ground. I've lived in a decent number of places that could be described as this. The type of place where it is certainly on a map, the place that you tell, oh, I know that spot, I've driven through it. Those type of smaller areas, I think you are making the safest bet by living there. And then jobs. This might seem a little boring, but I also think this is an incredibly important decision you need to make. The main bit, if there is a company out there that is offering you a lot of money, I think you gotta avoid it. I'm sorry, if you want to live in World of Darkness and be completely safe, you can't be rich. You can't do things that'll get you rich. You can't do things that'll get you notable, because any place that's gonna make you famous, make you rich, or maybe talking about accelerating humanity and ascending everyone, clearly that's bad. You are gonna be tangling with a vampire, you're gonna be tangling with the technocracy or Pentex. You don't want to tangle with any of these. You get a job and you hear that the CEO only shows up at night, I'm sorry, don't submit your 2 weeks, just leave. But just for this example, it is the technocracy and Pentex that we're going to focus on. Pentex is a company that is associated with the Worm, which, for those that don't know the general cosmology of Werewolf the Apocalypse, there are 3 spirits. The Worm is the big bad of Werewolf. The Worm is the spiritual incarnation of decay, turned insane when it was trapped on its own, and now it is very evil. And you can really base it down to, it is the spirit of pollution and the destruction of the world. It's why Werewolf the Apocalypse is called the Apocalypse. Pentex is a company that works with the Worm. They made a deal a long time ago, and they're still doing their best to damn the world. And they have a lot of shell companies that you should avoid. Just some basic categories you need to avoid. Any form of mining, no oil drilling, no fracking, no manufacturing. You need to avoid anything that has a negative impact on the environment. Also, need to avoid fast food. Here's a fun example, O'Tully's. O'Tully's is a fast food restaurant that is basically McDonald's. It's real bad, intentionally. It's meant to make you unhappy, feed you unhealthy food, and they put just a little bit of evil spirits in your food. Sometimes it's human, sometimes, all to corrupt you. Also, you need to avoid any form of pharmaceutical or the medical industry. I honestly just had a lot of fun looking through all the subsidiaries of Pentex, and I will talk about it later. Fun fact, I'm making a werewolf video. Stay tuned. But there's a really fun one, Megadon Incorporated, where they make drugs, and the drugs are like a flu medicine that actually has so many amphetamines you just kind of get crazy and act all weird and antisocial. Or the one that's the funniest, it's so dumb. They made a pill, and all the pill does that they sell is immediately taint you with the worm. Like, they're not even pretending to have any other effects, it's just this pill gets you worm tainted. Another one acts as a lure for any worm banes, like evil spirits that'll follow you around, because when you take it, it lives in your body, and now something fucked up is going to start happening in your environment and you won't know why. So yeah, avoid like the medical, pharmaceutical, insurance fields. I mean, they're already evil enough. You can't even go make games anymore. That's also worm tainted. There is a parody of White Wolf games called Black Dog Games, which is also a real publishing name that they used for a lot of their stuff that was too adult. But Black Dog Games has a lot of fun titles called Revenant the Ravishing, Lycanthrope the Rapture, or my personal favorite, Warlock the Pretension. It's all parodies of their own shit. It's fun, and it's also a little bit like, hey, don't play that TTRPG, you're signing a deal with the devil. Also, just any tech corporation, because Pentex works with that too, but also the technocracy. If it is a company that says they're making new things, fucking avoid it. You do not want to get tangled with the technocracy, not even because the technocracy is like actively going to kill you. They just might brainwash you and get you to believe their paradigm. The real danger, I think, when working with the technocracy is the idea that you could be a filler NPC in a mage party. You might get a group of mages who are a little gung-ho, don't care too much about paradox in the moment, and you might get murdered in like a fireball. I think the safest job you can get is, again, something small and local, a local business, or even work in agriculture, do something that is productive and that you can be self-employed in. I would argue don't even become an influencer, the most cringe way to put it. Don't do what I'm doing. I think if any self-employed job is clearly worm-tainted, it's YouTuber, a term that should only be used with intense derision. I don't know, hang out in your small town, start up a farm, donate some food and some beer to the local biker gang. You might get yourself a nice little bonus, maybe some protection, but largely you are trying to do something productive, and if you're in a smaller area, I do just think get on the werewolf's good side. I'll also mention, stay away from the fucking hunters. Don't do it. I imagine there's some of you out there who, when given the idea of an isekai world of darkness, your first thought is, I should go to one of the hunter groups, maybe the Society of Leopold, maybe a smaller, cooler party that I meet up with. I should hang out and tell them literally everything. Hey, what's up, Society of Leopold? I can tell you the entire clan structure and where every single vampire group is. Sick, fun. I'd like to see you try. First, I'd like to see you convince them that you're telling the truth. Convince them that you're not something that needs to get wiped out. Convince them in a way that doesn't tip off a vampire or a mage nearby. Because if something you say gets tipped off to a ghoul or anything, you're gonna get taken. Either you're gonna get New World Order mind wiped, or you're gonna get blood hunted. And I don't want to see that happen to you. You watch my videos. There's another reason I give that you should have a fulfilling job and something that makes you feel good. Mainly, this is another form of protection. You need to live a life that is fulfilled. This is to protect you from the fucking demons. I am not super familiar with Demon the Fallen as a game. It's something I haven't dug into as deeply. I have very surface level knowledge on it. For demons to actually come on Earth, and those are the demons that you play in Demon the Fallen, they need to possess a person. It's like a melding of souls. It's very mummy. It's pretty mummy. The demon and a person fuse, and the demons usually pick people who are not in a good state, people who are completely strung out on drugs, people who are comatose, people who are intensely suicidal. It is somebody completely at their wits' end, lost in life. So don't do that, okay? Live a good life, be happy, keep up your mental health. It's protection. Well, granted, that's a good survival tactic in our real life. Keep up your mental health. It actually is important. First thing you should make happy is your brain. That's where you live. And it's what you're going to experience your entire life. So you need to make sure that's happy. But, you know, it's going to prevent a lot of issues. If you're nice and secure in your life and some very creepy stranger in sunglasses in the middle of the night offers you a fun time, if you're nice and secure and happy, you might go, I think I'm good. I don't think I want to follow you in that dark alley. Assuming they don't use Dominator presence, but you know. So that is the basics of what I think is the most statistically likely thing to do to survive. You should go to a smaller town, find a small job. That's survival. Okay, that is like your physical survival. Cool. Now we need to talk about the supernatural just a little bit, because there's still a small chance you could interact with the supernatural, and worst comes to worst, you could be a plot hook. And I don't want you to be a plot hook. You like my videos. I don't know what this running joke is. I'll probably continue it. This is also a fun chance to talk about numina. Numina are powers that you as a human have access to in the world of darkness without becoming something else. These are things you'll do where you're still classified as mortal. So they're safer-ish. I think there is one actually good decision to make here, but just a list of a few. You can become psychic. Psionics is something similar to sorcery or hedge magic. Both are similar. Psionics is a very innate thing. You have access to a power, be it a minor thing or a specialty, but you are born with, more than likely, an ability to do something. But you're born with an ability to do something magic. I'm not giving a lot of specifics here because it's really wide and ranging, and it's something, you know, you can minorly read minds. You are a medium of some form. You can use a little telekinesis, like it's those things. Meanwhile, hedge magic or sorcery is also super similar. The difference is hedge magic is a learned skill. You have to actually train and learn like a wizard would. Problem, you have to be born as a psionic or genetically modified by the technocracy. They really like making psychics. Or you have to go find a mage, probably an Order of Hermes mage, who's going to take you under his wing and teach you magic. I don't think that's a great idea. On a similar lens, and something that was added to Werewolf 5th edition, you can actually learn a very minor form of the werewolf gifts, because all these gifts really are now are deals you made with spirits. And so you as a human could make a deal with a spirit, a nature spirit of some form, and get a minor power. It's just a little harder for you to manifest. It isn't as strong and it lasts less. Best way to make this analogy is it's like the ghoul disciplines you would get if you got ghouled by a vampire. However, there is a clearly better option you should pick. And I mean this unironically in the referencey way I'm about to put it. You need to pick a god and pray. Unironically, you need to become religious of some form, because true faith is just the best protection you can get. True faith is a power that it can be manifested by really anybody as long as you have a really, really intense faith in something. The key word there is something. A lot of times true faith is shown as very Christian thing, very Abrahamic religion thing of you show the cross, you show the Bible, you pray, and the vampire goes away. However, it's a bit more complicated, because really it's intense belief in anything. As like, you can also have true faith show if you're a hardcore Satanist. Not even like the, I'm a teenager being edgy or I'm just supporting the charity group. I'm talking like full-on Hail Satan Satanist, which is interesting when it comes to demon, but it's something the game notes. As well, I personally ascribe to this theory, because this is dependent on your own World of Darkness and how you want to run it. I personally run that in my World of Darkness, God is a higher entity. It is something out there that cannot be comprehended by mortals. And I subscribe to the belief of some mages where they talk about they've noticed people with true faith are legitimately channeling something. And the thing they're channeling all the time its core power is negating the supernatural. Unlike even the minor scale of .1 true faith, where you show a cross to a vampire and they go, ah, cut it out, stop it. Or you go to .5, where you are literally prophet level power in your religion power scaling, where you show the sign of the cross, you utter a prayer, and a vampire is on their knees sobbing. They're crying for forgiveness. They're in that much pain. But true faith can also make a werewolf war form go back to their human shape. You can prevent magical attacks from touching you. Even with really minor true faith, you can exorcise a wraith and prevent them from coming in, or you can prevent yourself from getting interacted with by demons. Though I will specify this is if a demon has a high torment. This is a thing in Demon the Fallen where torment is just how evil you are. It is how fucked up and closer to hell are you. If you have a really low torment, you're honestly a pretty chill person. And so you can actually walk on consecrated ground, and you can even, like, I don't know, touch a Bible. Personally, I would rather interact with a low torment demon than a high torment one, but I still think you should play it safe. Which modifies what I think is the best option for you. I think the best job you can get is a small town preacher. Go find a religion, pick which one you like the most. I think World of Darkness clearly has something out there, something that is true, be it God or whatever. Though I also think of it with a caveat of I don't think it's exactly the Christian God. I think World of Darkness is way more interesting as a setting if it is a bunch of warped retellings by mortals of things that legitimately happened. Like, Cain is in the Bible because mortals vaguely heard the story of Cain and like melded it, but the story of Cain, the real one, is something we will never know. Again, though, that's my interpretation, but I think it is easier to go into WoD, even as someone very skeptical, and be like, all right, I guess I'm Christian now. All right, now you're living. Hopefully you live for a long time, because we have to talk about the last thing, death. You are going to die. There is still things you need to do to make sure you're fine. This is a hard thing to plan for. However, you need to do a couple things. I think first and foremost, do your damnedest to not die early and traumatically. You have no issues you're leaving behind. You are not being murdered. You have not squandered your life away. You've lived a long and fulfilling life on your deathbed surrounded by loved ones. That is the ideal you need to shoot for. Start a family with some happy kids because it's meta. Because when you die, there is a chance you might wake up in the underworld, in the Shadowlands, and you might get recruited by one of the Wraith Legions. A lot of times the new Wraiths are recruited to the Legions by the different awful ways they might have died. Editing Glueboy here, I didn't actually describe all the ways and the criteria for the different Legions in Wraith, so I'll quickly tell you the ways you need to avoid dying. So, you need to avoid dying by accidents. Don't die accidentally or the Emerald Legion will get you. To avoid the Grim Legion, don't get murdered. To avoid the Iron Legion, don't live to a nice old age and die of old age. To avoid the Legion of Paupers, you need to die in a very known and non-mysterious circumstance. The Penitent Legion, to avoid them, don't go crazy. It's like I keep saying, keep up your mental. The Silent Legion, you need to not kill yourself. I already don't do that, but you know. The Skeletal Legion likes to go for people who died of illnesses, so stay healthy. And at the very end, if you want to avoid the Legion of Fate, hope the Lady of Fate doesn't decide you're marked, I guess. So how exactly should you die? Look, that's a tough one. I can't say I have all the answers. Just die in a very normal way. You should avoid all of them. Just live and die peacefully, because you don't want to wake up as a Wraith personally, because while you kind of get a second chance at life, Wraith the Oblivion is a game where the gameplay is quite literally you hand half of your character sheet to your friend, and then your friend's job is to convince you to kill yourself. Your shadow is trying to pull you into Oblivion, and personally, that's not something I want to see you do. Don't go to Oblivion. You comment on my video. It's something I think you should avoid. However, this is the weirdest gameplay I can give you. But that's my job here. I'm here to tell you all about World of Darkness stuff. You could, based on the latest edition, it's been a long time, but the latest edition of Mummy, you could tactically live a horrific life, squander it all, be an absolute waste drain on society in any way you interpret that. Just completely fuck yourself over because there's a small chance when you wake up in the underworld, a mummy soul might come and hang out with you, meld with you, and now, hey, guess what? You're a mummy. Which, a mummy isn't even undead. I would classify them more as like life squared. You're actually just so alive with the spell of life that you're powerful. And mummies are fucking terrifying, by the way. They can do a lot of insane bullshit. They are some of the most powerful, like, playable things in WoD. This is, again, based on the latest edition because it used to be more bloodline focused. We're going from, like, Osiris, Ra, very Egyptian. But now the new Spell of Life is very open. I wouldn't personally recommend you try to force a mummy revival on yourself, but that is an option. But yeah, that's it. That's the video. Very goofy concept, but I think it's fun. Still, comment your game plan. But first, I want to shout out all my channel members who make all these videos possible. I'm super appreciative. And a huge, huge shout out to my top tier channel members. That being Eric Sheriff, Megas Cadron, Pork Chomp, and Tsar Shadow. Thank y'all so much. Means a lot. Still, like, subscribe, join membership, comment your game plan. I'm saying it a lot because I'm genuinely interested if I miss something or just what fun bullshit you'd get up to. I'm not a big fan of the call to action engagement bait shit, but this is just for me. But anyways, see ya.